Okay.
Аре, бе, брат, какво
Now
става, бе?
now it should. Is it recording? I don't know.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, but I can't.
Добре.
Uh, I can't minimize this. Okay. Let's do this. Okay, so today I'm going to present Hofstede Cultural Dimensions, which I think we're all familiar with because it was a big part of year one and year two when comparing countries and their cultural insights. And first, I have to say, if in case you're not familiar, you can go to Hofstede Cultural Insights, and there you can compare countries' dimensions. So Hofstede is a cultural dimensions which provide a framework for understanding the difference in values, beliefs, and behaviors across cultures. And in this presentation, we will explore the main parts of this framework and we'll see how it can apply to your workplace or society so you can compare countries. But first, I'll tell you a bit more about Gert Hofstede, who is a Dutch social psychologist known for his research on cultural dimensions. He developed a framework for understanding cultural differences, which includes dimensions like power distance, individualism versus collectivism, masculinity, uncertainty avoidance, long-term versus short-term orientation. And his work is widely used in cross-cultural studies and management theory, as well as many universities across the world. And today we're going to look at Bulgaria versus the Netherlands, since we're all Bulgarians and we've all lived or live currently in the Netherlands. And here is an overview of what Hofstede resembles. You have the power distance, which you can see here the comparison between Bulgaria and the Netherlands. Also, individualism, motivation towards achievement and success, also known as masculinity versus femininity. Then we have uncertainty avoidance, long-term versus short-term orientation, and indulgence. We'll first start with power distance. You can see in this dimension, we'll have the power distance between Bulgaria and the Netherlands. In Bulgaria, we have 70, while in the Netherlands, it's 38. So quite a big difference. In countries with high power distance, societies accept and expect unequal distribution of power, while in societies with low power distance, like the Netherlands, societies strive for power equality and accessible leadership. The implication of this dimension impacts hierarchical structures, decision-making processes, and employee-manager relationships. For example, in Bulgaria, it's very common to have big hierarchical distances, and your boss' opinion is unquestionable, and you just follow the orders. While in countries such as the Netherlands, it could be more freely, and they're more open to any ideas. And also here, you can see other aspects of this. For example, the children may contradict parents in countries with small power distance, while in countries with large power distance, children should obey parents, like it is in Bulgaria, in my opinion. At least for me, it was always for my grandparents or my parents. Their word as I was a child was unquestionable, and you should obey this. While in the West, even in Western Europe or the United States, children are more free to do almost whatever they like. Um, you can see here the teachers, they ask for feedback in countries with small power distance, while on the other hand, teachers lecture in countries with large power distance, like it is in Bulgaria or like it was in my high school and school. Teachers lectured and they even argued with us, and we didn't have any freedom for feedback. There you have individualism versus collectivism. The Netherlands here is one of the highest individualistic countries there are, while Bulgaria scores 50 on this measure. So we're twice as collectivism as they are. So what individualism represents is cultures that emphasize individual achievement, personal freedom, and self-reliance, while collectivism cultures that prioritize group harmony, loyalty, and interdependence. This dimension shapes how people define their self-identity and their relationship with others. So in the Netherlands, at least my personal experience is that people are highly individualistic and they want their freedom and self-reliance, and they will hardly rely on other people. Well, in Bulgaria, we have a person for everything. Like, you don't need a company for marketing. You have this person who can do your marketing, or you have this mechanic, or you have this, etc. So we rely on other people more than the Dutch. Masculinity versus femininity, also known as motivation towards achievement and success. Here, Bulgaria scores 40, while the Netherlands scores 14. You can see it here. And cultures that value competitiveness, assertiveness, and material success is what Bulgaria excels at, apparently, in this measure. And femininity, cultures that prioritize quality of life, nurturing, and consensus building. This dimension affects gender roles, work-life balance, and social values. So for the masculinity aspect of Bulgaria, we can see that it's higher. And at least in my personal experience, I've seen this part many, many times, the material success. So people are not really into the quality of life, like, for example, here the Dutch are, and people value more materialistic things like having a nice car or having branded clothes. And you can see this by going out on the streets and you see people that they don't have any good job or wage, but they still spend most of their money on a nice car or branded clothes and so on. So I think that's pretty evident. Then uncertainty avoidance. I'll zoom to share. So here, Bulgaria scores high on this. So people are not willing to take that much risk, while the Dutch are more willing. So cultures that have a low tolerance for ambiguity and uncertainty, preferring structure and predictability. Well, that's Bulgaria. That's what people are used to. They don't like going out of their comfort zone, while in the Netherlands, I would say that it's the opposite. And low uncertainty avoidance, cultures that are more comfortable with risk change and a lack of structure. This dimension shapes attitudes towards rules, innovation, and dealing with the unknown. So you can see that the Dutch is one of the most innovative cultures and countries there is, exactly because of this, because they're willing to take risk, to innovate, and to explore the unknown. And that's what shapes their country, actually. Then we have long-term versus short-term orientation. Long-term orientation, cultures that value persistence, saving, and adaptation to changing circumstances. And on the other hand, cultures that emphasize tradition, personal stability, and immediate gratification. You can see here that the Netherlands is more short-term oriented, while Bulgaria is longer. And this dimension shapes attitudes towards time, planning, and decision making. I also put here some other countries to have this comparison: Mexico, Germany, and China. As we all know, the Chinese people are very, very long-term oriented. They think decades or centuries in advance. For example, their economy is really shaped in this structure, and also you can see some things that they've built over centuries, like the Great Chinese Wall, and so on. Then we have indulgence, cultures that allow relatively free gratification of basic and natural human desires related to enjoying life and having fun. Then restraint, cultures that try to control gratification of needs and regulate it by means of strict norms. This dimension affects how people view their role in society in their pursuit of happiness. Here you can see that the Netherlands is actually pretty restrained, scoring 68, while Bulgaria scores 16. And I think that's also pretty explanatory. People in Bulgaria, they want the immediate gratification and indulgence in terms of food, in terms of work. You see it everywhere. They're not that willing to have the discipline to either be healthy or to work harder. Most of them are the opposite. And then here is how you can apply Hofstede in your work placement to see what type of people there are. And I want to ask each one of you first, do you agree with the chart, which is here in your own personal experience? So I'll zoom this. First, do you agree with this? And then we can move on to the questions which are segmented by each group.
I would like to say that almost I don't think almost I think every single thing that you've mentioned, especially for the Bulgarian schools and for the grandparents and also for the families. For speaking about the Bulgarian side, I'm completely agree with that because I have experienced it. I know other people, especially for the individualism and power distance. So this thing really is really noticeable in here in Bulgaria. Wow, in the Netherlands on the other side. So yeah, I agree completely.
Yeah. Okay. Does somebody share a different opinion that maybe there is some difference in your personal experience?
Well, in my opinion, it's pretty. This is very accurate, I would say. Only probably the long term orientation is something that even before when I was comparing Bulgaria and, and the Netherlands, usually I couldn't quite grasp completely. But everything else, I would completely agree. It's pretty much the opposite. Only long term orientation, as I said, I would probably disagree a little bit with the Hofstede insights, but usually, yeah, it's pretty accurate.
Why would you, what is your personal experience exactly that you think is different?
Well, I would say that usually companies here are pretty long-term oriented. They usually have big projects, enterprises that usually take way longer in general. Where back home, I haven't had an internship back home, but usually if I had to compare a company, I would probably expect that the campaigns are probably shorter. But that's just something that I have to still investigate myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you mean the
Yeah,
difference here should be way larger
yeah, a bit
for,
larger. Probably not way
yeah,
larger, but a bit larger than
okay,
yeah.
yeah, all right. Then we can move to here, and um, I want you to think about how you can apply this. Like, you can answer one of the questions. It's whatever you choose, but it's important because sometimes you don't really think about this difference in your workplace or in the country you live in. But it's important to see it and to recognize it in order to know how to deal with it. So I can start, for example, with indulgence versus restraint. How much do people in your workplace or country emphasize the pursuit of happiness and free expression? Well, in my workplace, I would say that people are pretty um, pretty much in a pursuit of happiness, but I would say that it's a short-term happiness and short-term indulgence, like snacking unhealthy food, during the breaks or during the lunch break, and also short-term happiness like going out, drinking, and so on. So I really haven't seen that much of a longer term pursuit of happiness, like knowing that you should go in that direction, even though you may need discipline. I really haven't seen that much in my workplace. Maybe somebody else can share
I can
his.
Yeah, I can share my thoughts about the long term versus short term orientation. And for the question, do people in your work place or country prioritize immediate results or long term planning? I would speak about my workplace, and the thing I want to mention is that there the people are strongly long term orientated, because it's investing, asset management company where we have to be very passionate about investing the client's money in some assets, and we really need to wait if there is if the moment is not okay. I mean, we cannot just enter in a certain position knowing that the price is too high, for example, so we have to be patient and then wait for the price to drop. And yeah, the other thing is that all the investments are related with the long term orientation, because we really need to wait for the we cannot rush the things there, because it's first not ours money. And first, this is, for example, if you take a bond that it would matures in 10 years, you cannot rush it in that way, so you have to wait 10 years to get the maturity. And yeah, that's it.
So you don't have short-term trading in your company.
No, no, no. Everything is long term. I mean, the shortest term that we have is, for example, if a client comes and asks us if there is, for example, a very short term obligation which matures at the end of the year, because we had that kind of a client, for example, before 2 weeks, and yeah, but this is like not so often happening.
Yeah, so basically your company is the best example for long-term orientation.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I wanted to mention it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I would say that it surely depends on the industry that you're in. Uh, for example, the long and short term orientation, and for everything else as well. But generally, I believe that even though, for example, Boris in his work placement has a different view, you maybe have a different view, Daria maybe has a different view for her. But in general, I believe that it's pretty accurate.
Okay.
Yeah, well, for me, obviously, it's like quite different because I'm not in Bulgaria or the Netherlands. For example, for the power distance in my company, it's not really like that noticeable. Now, we are a very international company, like most of my colleagues are from abroad. However, even with my managers, I can speak like very informally. And I don't really have to like each time that I want to communicate something, I don't have to compose long emails. I can just drop a really quick message on chat. And they're also very willing to listen to any ideas that I might have or any feedback that I might have for them or for the way to do things. And I really appreciate this way of working because it makes everything so much more efficient and easy and yeah, and a bit more calm and not that stressful. So that part I really do appreciate, but I obviously can't really speak if that's in every like company in Spain because like we're very international. But
Yeah.
I I do have like a for the topic of indulgence, I think like Spanish people are a bit more indulgent because obviously they really like going to the bars to have some tapas. And I think a bit of their mentality is that like they're living in the moment, so they have to make like every day good for them, which is something that I've kind of come to like really respect because you don't really live in like 10 years from now, 20 years from now, like you live in your present moment, so you have to like try to make it fun for you. to be alive in the moment, as they say.
Yeah, but I also agree with your opinion that it's different for every company with the power distance. And for example, with my company, it's the same like yours. We don't have that great of power difference, and basically everyone in the company can suggest any ideas to the managing team. You can knock on their door, you can go there, discuss some potential idea or write an email, and you can basically everything happens pretty fast, and it's pretty straightforward, and you don't have to complete formalities. Well, it was a great difference when a few weeks ago we started a partnership with another digital marketing agency, and their structure is pretty hierarchical. Everything should go through approval before going to the managers, then receiving another approval for them, and then executing. So there are many formalities there, but in our agency, it's not like that.
Yeah, I would only just like to mention that like sometimes there are drawbacks a bit to this way of doing things, because like in my company we're very like dynamic, so we changed up the way that we do things like quite often, and sometimes it can get a bit maybe chaotic because we have like an entirely new thing that we're doing or an entirely new way of doing things that we were doing before. So I think I've learned how to be like pretty flexible and adaptable to changes.
Okay, thank you. Well, I think this could be it if we don't have anything more to discuss. Okay, I'll stop recording now.
You can keep it. You can keep it. I can just share my screen.
Okay, but I don't know, something
Martin,
broke.
you can start now, Orlin, with yours
Yeah, I will. I will.
and record it yourself.
Oh, I should.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's better if you can start recording because
Yeah.
my Teams lagged and I don't know what's going on.
It's recording.
It still says that like Martin is recording,
Wait,
so
I'll
you should
join
start
again.
your recording and then